The Galactic Council had faced many crises in its 10,000-year history, wars that consumed entire star systems, plagues that decimated civilizations, economic collapses that shattered trade networks spanning 100 worlds. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared Ambassador Nara Velen for the current situation unfolding in her quarters aboard the diplomatic station. "This is unacceptable," she growled, her throat sac inflating with indignation. The Krafin were a proud warrior race, descendants of apex predators who had clawed their way to the top of their planet's food chain through sheer ferocity. Their military prowess was legendary. Their battle honors were carved into monuments across 36 worlds. And now her nephew stood before her wearing ... that. Cub Jork looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes, his small frame draped in soft fabric covered in cartoon starships and smiling aliens. The pajamas were blue, ridiculously comfortable looking, and most horrifyingly matched the set worn by the human child next door. "But Aunt Nara," Jork said, his voice carrying that particular whine that all young cubs mastered, regardless of species. "Tommy says they're friendship pajamas. And they're so soft." Nara's claws flexed involuntarily. The humans. Of course it was the humans. When humanity had joined the Galactic Council 15 cycles ago, the established species had been ... uncertain. Humans were strange. They were simultaneously too soft and too hard, too emotional and too calculating. They formed bonds with anything that moved and many things that didn't. They had somehow domesticated the wolf beasts of their homeworld for companionship. Companionship. What warrior species needed companionship from their prey animals? But the humans had proven themselves useful allies. Their tactical thinking was unconventional but effective. Their technology was derivative but innovative. Their diplomacy was clumsy but sincere. The Council had accepted them, albeit with reservations. And then the humans had discovered Krafin cubs. "Ambassador Velen," came a cheerful voice from her doorway. She turned to see Dr. Sarah Chun, the human xenopediatrician who had somehow become the station's most popular resident. "I hope Jork isn't bothering you. He and Tommy have been having such a wonderful time together." "Dr. Chun," Nara said, her voice dropping to the warning rumble that made enemy soldiers flee in terror. "What have you done to my nephew?" Sarah's smile didn't falter. This was another infuriating thing about humans. They seemed constitutionally incapable of recognizing proper threat displays. "I made them matching pajamas." "Isn't that sweet? The boys are having their first sleepover tonight." Sleepover. Nara tasted the word. It was barbaric. Krafin cubs underwent solitary endurance trials, not ... sleepovers. "It's a human tradition," Sarah explained, stepping into the quarters uninvited, another human trait. "Children spend the night at a friend's house. They play games, eat snacks, watch movies, and bond. It's how we learn social skills and build lasting friendships." "Krafin cubs learn social skills through combat training," Nara countered. And how's that working out for your species' mental health statistics?" The question struck like a plasma bolt. Nara's throat sac deflated slightly. The truth was, Krafin society had been struggling. Depression rates among adults were climbing. Suicide among retired warriors was epidemic. The Council's psychologists, mostly empathic Silurians and recently humans, had suggested that perhaps Krafin child-rearing practices were too harsh, too isolating. Nara had dismissed such concerns. Warriors were forged in fire, not comfort. And yet ... she looked at Jork again. The cub was smiling, genuinely smiling, in a way she hadn't seen since his parents had deployed to the border conflicts. He was holding a stuffed animal, another human invention shaped like some earth creature called a bear. His small claws were retracted, his posture relaxed. He looked happy. "The pajamas are flame-resistant, by the way," Sarah added casually. "I know Krafin cubs sometimes ignite their dorsal vents when they have nightmares. These are made from synthetic fibers that won't catch fire. Also machine washable, because let's be honest, kids are messy." Nara stared at the human. "You ... designed these specifically for Krafin physiology?" "Well, yes. If Jork and Tommy are going to be friends, I wanted to make sure Jork was safe and comfortable. I've also prepared a sleep environment that accommodates his higher body temperature needs and..." "Why?" The word burst from Nara before she could stop it. "Why do you care so much about the comfort of an alien child?" Sarah's expression softened. "Because he's a child, Ambassador. That's all the reason I need." Something twisted in Nara's chest. The Krafin had warrior codes, battle honors, territorial imperatives. They had complex social hierarchies and elaborate courtship rituals. But the humans had something else, something the Krafin had lost somewhere in their evolution from predator to soldier. They had gentleness. The council won't approve, Nara said, but her voice lacked conviction. Pajamas are not ... regulation. Actually, Sarah said, pulling out a datapad. I've already received approval from the council's Child Welfare Committee. They've reviewed my proposal and agreed that regular playdates and sleepovers could be beneficial for all the station's children, including Krafin cubs. In fact, Ambassador Tuan's daughter has already requested a matching set. Nara's throat sac inflated in shock. Tuan? The Krafin Battle Supreme? Her daughter's pajamas have little spaceships on them. She specifically requested purple. That evening, Nara found herself doing something she'd never imagined. She watched, through the security feed, as her nephew and a human child built a blanket fort, laughed at a ridiculous animated movie, and eventually fell asleep side by side, both wearing their matching pajamas. Jorik's dorsal vents ignited once during the night, a stress response, probably a bad dream. Sarah, monitoring from the next room, quickly attended to him, calming him with soft words and the promised bear toy. The cub settled back into peaceful sleep within moments. Nara sat in her quarters, staring at the starfield beyond her viewport. The Krafin were warriors. They would always be warriors. But perhaps, just perhaps, they could be something else as well. The next morning she submitted a requisition to Dr. Chen. One set of matching pajamas, adult size, with a notation that they should be flame-resistant. After all, if the Battle Supreme's daughter could wear purple spaceships, a mere ambassador could manage cartoon aliens. For the cubs, she told herself. Only for the cubs. The matching pajamas arrived 3 days later, accompanied by a note from Sarah. Welcome to the sleepover revolution. Humanity says hello. Despite herself, Nara smiled.